Believe it or not, the Denver Broncos definitely have caught the attention of the rest of the NFL. Not just the teams, but the NFL talking heads are now talking about the Broncos frequently based off of their bipolar play. Welcome in, Broncos Breakdown fans, to the Broncos Breakdown. My name is Moose. I'm going to tell you why today the Denver Broncos are living rent-free in the minds of the rest of the NFL. And it starts with what the Raiders head coach, Mr. Gum Chewer himself, Pete Carroll, had to say. Now, before we get started, I know what you're going to say. Moose, weren't you just talking about the negative state of the Denver Broncos offense? Yes, I was. And we're going to get into it because there is still a lot to clean up. But I do believe the Denver Broncos can use this new media polarity to their advantage. Here's what Pete Carroll had to say about the Broncos defense. Now, mind you, he doesn't talk at all about the offense. But here's what he says. We were trying to get Bowers going all night long. Really. We had all of the calls. We were going that way. We did try to feed him. They are a championship atmosphere and a terrific team playing well at home on a roll. Translation. The defense is good enough to win a championship. Does this not remind you a little bit of the 2015-2016 Denver Broncos? Remember how bad Peyton Manning was down the stretch? The Broncos defense ended up saving the season. So it is possible to win an entire Super Bowl based off of your defense alone. However, with a new game in 2025, catered to the offense scoring points, and going up against teams like next week against the Kansas City Chiefs, you cannot bank on that. So sure, is it possible to do that? Of course it's possible. Is it probable? No. And we know this, the NFL now is an analytics league. And if the NFL is an analytics league, we have to also look at the game from a more analytical point of view. Doesn't mean the entire game is played on a sheet of paper, but we also know that the way the Broncos are playing on offense is not sustainable. That's facts. But two things can be true at the same time, seeming to be one of my favorite things to say on this channel now. And like I said, the rest of the NFL talking heads, they're really starting to take notice. This is the first time this entire football season that I've really seen people like Stephen A. Smith, people like Colin Cowherd really start to give the Broncos the attention that they are deserving. Now remember, they are really starting to pick them apart more often than they are giving them credit because of the 180-degree turn from the defense to the offense. In fact, one of the guys that I just mentioned, Stephen A. Smith, he had a really, what's the word, Reed, that I'm looking for here? Extreme? Brash, that's another really great way of saying it. Way of talking about the Denver Broncos. Here's what he said on his podcast. This looks atrocious. This is the leader of the AFC West. You cannot rule out the possibility that they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But it doesn't take away from the fact that their offense has looked like straight trash. Now remember, they don't cover the Denver Broncos from a day-to-day perspective. They don't watch this team week in and week out. They watch the highlights, right? They watch the big-time plays. They watch the box score. They do all of the homework, so to speak, without acting or actively watching this team play on a week-to-week basis. Yes, exactly. It's very surface level. We know as Broncos fans, watching every single snap of every single game, we know that there's a problem as well. So is it as bad as Stephen A. Smith is making it look? Well, of course not, because in the fourth quarter, Bo Nix turns into John Elway. Maybe not against the Raiders, but he's done it against the Eagles. He did it against the Giants. He did it against the Houston Texans. I mean, like every single or every other week, you see Bo Nix light it up. But I will remind you that even though we see the greatness from Bo Nix and the Broncos team in the fourth, this is still an actual graphic. The Broncos are most closely resemble the Arizona Cardinals in 2025. That is not good. They are on a backup quarterback. They have a third-string running back. Like, it's bad. It's bad from a quarters 1 through 3. So, what else do we know? Well, the Denver Broncos have 3 major problem areas. Bo is being too inconsistent. The play calling gets suspect at times, and the receivers are dropping passes. Fine. We've broken that down multiple times here on the channel. But that doesn't mean that we should worry that the Denver Broncos can't win more football games. I had said from the last couple of videos, I'm worried about the playoffs. I'm not worried about the week to week. I'm not worried about the Denver Broncos going up against the Raiders in week 14 or the Commanders without Jaden Daniels and winning that football game. I know the Denver Broncos are going to make the playoffs, but that's not the bar anymore. The bar is, can you make a deep playoff run? So, before I continue on with the rest of the episode, what is your worry level about the Denver Broncos? Scale it 1 to 10. 10 being like I'm panicking, Moose, I'm freaking out. 1 being like I'm not worried at all. As of right now, I'm probably at a moderate level of concern. 4 to 5. 4 to 5. Now, before I continue on with the plan, because I've highlighted a 3-step plan on how the Broncos can eliminate the offensive mistakes. Believe it or not, there is a way to fix this. But before I do that, I got to tell you about my friends over at PrizePicks. With the season changing, the feeling of being right never, ever gets old. So do yourself a favor. Head on over to your app store and click that download button. Download the PrizePicks app today. It is so simple to play. All you have to do is pick your players, the more or less on their stat projections, and then watch your money multiply. Up to 2,000 times your money this football season on PrizePicks. Did you know that you can now follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineup in just one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner like producer Reed on the ones and twos, or someone whose picks you love? Hit that follow button, check out every lineup they create in the brand new feed tab over on PrizePicks. Like I said, it takes 30 seconds to make a lineup. Very easy. Pick the player, more or less, stat projections, watch your money multiply. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It is good to be right. Okay, so how do you avoid this? Because this is what I've been seeing from a lot of different social media groups. And I don't think the Broncos are frauds. You don't think the Broncos are frauds, or at least I hope you don't think the Broncos are frauds. But how do you avoid this? Because if you do go, let's call it 12-5, 13-4, 14-3, and you lose in the first round of the playoffs like the Vikings did last year, that is ultimately what is going to be the narrative surrounding this team, whether you like it or not. So how do you stop the narrative of the Denver Broncos are frauds? I think it's very simple. It's a 3-step process. From here on out, these are the 3 things that I believe you have to do in order to eliminate that title. The first thing you do, you sign a wide receiver. Any wide receiver. Any of them. Because clearly, you've worked out wide receivers. You made call about Jalen Waddle. You want a wide receiver. It's pointless now to not agree with that sentiment. George Paton and Sean Payton know they need to get another weapon. Here are some free agent wide receivers available. Now, a lot of you said, Moose, I don't want Odell Beckham Jr. We should not get Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, fine. Fine, but you tell me what wide receiver you want. If you don't want Odell, who do you want? Nelson Aguilar, DJ Chark, Deontay Johnson. Those are only a couple of names. There are other wide receivers out there that you could go out and sign. But you got to sign somebody. You got to add an extra weapon. I know we get Marvin Mims Jr. back. That's going to be great. But we need another weapon. The second thing is, and this is something that I've been calling since week 4, week 5, somewhere around there. This is going to make a lot of people upset. Limit Bo's attempts to less than 30 a game. It is clear that when Bo Nix has the weight of the game on his shoulders, he can get it done in the 4th, but through the first 3 quarters, if we're talking about the bulk of the game plan is surrounding Bo Nix's ability to complete passes, he's not consistent enough. He's just not. And that's the ultimate take from what I'm watching through the first 10 weeks, is that Bo is a momentum player. When Bo is on, he is red hot. But when he's cold, he's ice cold. as evidenced by games against the New York Jets, as evidenced against teams like the Las Vegas Raiders. And we can go back and forth about what the play calling looks like. I completely agree with you. The wide receivers dropping the ball, I get it. But even more so of a reason to limit Bo's throwing attempts. If you've got all of these problems, take the ball out of Bo's hands and let the wide receivers have a little bit of a break. Put the game in the hands of J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. And finally, if you are going to continue to relentlessly attack through the air, feed Courtland Sutton more. The fact that Courtland Sutton has some of these games where he has like 3 targets is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Period. He needs at least 8 targets a game. He's your number 1 wide receiver. He's your $94 million wide receiver, $90 million wide receiver. You got to feed him because you cannot continually stare down Troy Franklin as frequently as you do. Troy Franklin is not a number 1 wide receiver. He might be doing a lot better this year than he did last year. His development might have come along, but he still drops the ball. He still gets lazy on routes. There's a lot of things you could pick apart in Troy Franklin's game. So feed Courtland Sutton if you're going to continue to throw the ball as much as you do. Before we take on off out of here, I'll ask you, how do you fix the Broncos offense? That's my 3-step plan. You let me know what your plan is. It doesn't have to be 3 steps. Could be one thing. Let me know in the comment section down below. Before we take off on out of here, a reminder to subscribe to the channel, like today's video, and as always, Broncos country, be cool.